Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? This interview with Jeff Porcaro took place in mid '79. The Hydra record was coming out. Jeff, along with his Toto buddies, Luke and his brother Mike, they were yo cats. They were session guys back, when they were just like young dudes. I mean, Luke used to play in, bands in the high school. I mean, can you imagine you want to battle the bands and Steve Lukather and Jeff Porcaro were in the band you were going up against? Jeff Jeff passed horribly in '92, was one of the greatest drummers ever. His sense of groove and his feel was singularly unique. Unbelievable guy, great speaking voice, funny dude. I'd meet him several times over the years. And fun little interview. Hope you like it. And we'll talk soon. Bye.
Yeah. Tell me.
What
Tell
have
me.
you done since we last talked?
That's right.
Right.
The new record.
What about it?
It's well on the way.
Yeah, it is.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Tell you a little bit about it. It's going to have about approximately 8 tunes on it. It's going fine.
Okay. No.
No.
I mean, it's similar to the first one. I mean,
No. In its ways, I really couldn't describe it. It's good. It's a little bit different. We feel a lot better about it than our first album. A lot better.
a little less thrust. You told me last time you had a little problem mixing. And
Yeah, towards the end, I mean, we worked 9 months on it, the first one, and this one will be done about another month. We should be finished, as far as completely finished mixing and
So how long has this one been in the works then?
5 weeks.
Yeah, about that.
About 5 weeks.
So it's a real quick one there.
We're done with tracks. We've just been doing overdubs now. Vocals.
Is there a title for it?
Right now, it's going to be called Hydra. Hydra. Hydra.
Yeah. Like the
Yeah.
snake.
Hydra.
Is there a track called Hydra?
No, there's a tune called St. George and the Dragon. But it's
But there's a line in it that says Hydra.
right. Well, there's a line in the Hydra, but the album cover is a
Hydra.
yeah, but it's just a single-headed dragon. Hydra is Scottish mythical water beast, or it could be the Greek mythical guarding the golden fleece. All that.
Right. Right.
But this one it's sort of a 21st century Don Quixote type a guy against a dragon, but the dragon lives below 7th Avenue. It's one of those.
That's kind of the theme of the song.
Yeah. Sort of a thing.
Can you tell me about some of the tracks? First titles and
Right. Yeah, there's a real like rock and roll tune. Real rock and roll tune.
what's that called?
White Sister. There's a tune called Mama, which is sort of a couple R&B-ish things, but they're not really R&B-ish. They're a mix. It's a mixture. This album here is the first time we're all looking at each other, going, "Yeah, this is our sound. This is what Toto is supposed to sound like. This is all the tunes fit sort of the attitude that we have right now and whatnot."
What is the Toto sound?
What is it?
Yeah, I mean, if you could.
Yeah, but you can't define. I can't define it.
How would you define the music on the first album, or what would?
Well, that was it's definitely Toto, but it was our first album. We weren't sure. I mean, we tried so many different. The first album we cut 25 tunes. We had an album that was real R&B-ish at one time. We had a real rock and roll album. We had an album that we didn't know where it was coming from. It's not for us. It was a bit overproduced and whatnot. It's like when the first night that we started the new album, we did it in a studio that we really wanted to do the first album in, a studio that we've all done lots of dates at and are comfortable with. And after hearing back the first 2 things we cut, the first night we went into cut, it was like, yeah, this is like our first album. To us, this will be our first album. As far as the way we feel about it. I mean, we feel good about it.
Where are you recording it?
Sunset Sound, right down the street.
That's where you wanted to be the first one.
Yeah, we had it, but we didn't. But this one, it's like we're at home, and it's just where everybody's heads are at. They're more comfortable with the band situation and whatnot.
So all the tracks are new. In other words, it wasn't anything that maybe you might have done on the first record.
Right, we're using one tune from the first that was going to be on the first album that we left off.
Which one's that?
It's called Miss Sun. Miss Sun, MISSSUN. So Miss Sun.
So basically, somebody comes in with a song pretty much developed, or is it?
Like all these tunes so far, except for one composition, will be my brother's, but all the rest, once again, are going to be all David Page tunes. Some that he's had that we've been messing around with. This last time we were on tour, we would jam on them and whatnot. And then before we went in to cut the album, we had like a week's worth of rehearsing. And we kind of, all of us put together, you know, I would start playing a feel and David would play some chord changes to it and whatnot. And we'd structure a tune, and we did that for a week and maybe only rehearsed 3 tunes during that week. But when we went in to cut the album, those first 3 were the first things we cut, and all the rest of the tunes we just went for. I mean, they were sort of written and arranged in the studio. I think it's pretty spontaneous.
Did you expect the success of the first record? I mean,
yeah, we honestly within ourselves did, but we didn't say so. But after it's happened, yeah.
I mean, you knew there's some hit songs there. I mean, you
knew there were a couple potential, you know, as far as what was on the market, right, you know, at that time and whatnot.
Are the songs that were chosen as a singles the ones that you looked at as being the ones that were going to be successful?
First one, Hold the Line, we kind of felt good about. When it came time to choose a second single, that was a big battle. And at that time, we had just started going on the road. And our more powerful rock and roll numbers were coming off, and people within even the record company on the field who dug our live show, they all were going for this I'll supply the love business, you know, which like I personally was against. And we really didn't care if things were going so well. We said, hey, if you all think that this is going to happen, even, you know, radio stations who first went on Hold the Line were saying I'll supply the love, you know, whatnot. I thought there could have been a better second single. I mean, one that would have gave us a little bit more momentum during the time.
Out on the road, what kind of bands are you playing with?
We were fortunate enough our first time we went on the road was in December, just for a few gigs, and we opened for Frampton for 2 gigs, and we opened Kenny Loggins 5 gigs, and the rest that we've done were all headlining.
We were really lucky. I mean, we got to miss a step.
Kind of like skipped a year or 2 years of a group's lifespan by just immediately going to headlining gigs, and, you know, anywhere from 2,500 to 10,000 seaters, you know.
Is that because of the success of the album?
Yeah, because the album was doing so well. The single was at its peak then, and the tour we put together was, I mean, we really spent bread and production-wise, had a stage built, had rear screen projections. I mean, so really our first time anybody saw us live, it was full tilt.
Did you like playing at the Jam?
The Jam.
The one
first day, and second day was all right.
Why were you the only group to play both days? I mean, it seems like kind of a...
Jimmy Miller loves us.
Right, it was like a house band trip, you know, local LA boys.
Toto's house band. He really does have a fondness. You know, we have an R&B hit now.
That Georgie Porgy.
Georgie's number 19 Bullet R&B.
So basically, I mean, David will have a basic feel for the song, and I'll say, Jeff, this kind of thing, and this that kind of thing, or is it just...
It's not even down to that. We just start playing. It's, you know, we've done it for years together. We just start playing, you know. You know, you pretty much can tell. Paige will start playing. You pretty much can tell what the feel is, what the groove's supposed to be. You know, it's.
So you know if it's not right, then I mean, it's kind of.
Next tune. Yeah, one of those. But really, it's most all of his tunes are. He's real. Some of the tunes are going to be real hip on this album. There's some real like. Sort of like one tune that's real Zeppelin-ish, but yet musically there's nice chord changes, there's some odd bars, and there's some polyrhythm things, you know, and some sections. But it's really like a Kashmir type thing, simplicity-wise, but yet there's some interesting rhythm things and ideas going on.
Are you recording differently? In other words, different techniques?
Yeah, we are. We're pretty much recording the same technique. We're just not doing things like tripling rhythm guitar things. make them, bigger than fuck when they are bigger than fuck when we cut the tracks. It's one of those things. So we learned a lot as far as most of our biggest problems were our shit sounded incredible. The first album in the studio, we had two 24-track machines with a computer and sync and all that crap. There's lots of music, but getting all that stuff on a piece of plastic was not. It didn't happen. I mean, there's things people never heard on the first album that are really happening, but they're just too cluttered, And this isn't so cluttered. This stuff was done with just really live in the studio, to where maybe a guitar solo overdubbed and the vocals overdubbed, and that's about it. Some keyboard things maybe, and that's it. Really, there'll be a couple things, maybe some horns and a couple things, strings maybe. Plus, when we went on the road, we took two guys with us. We took a percussionist, and we took this guy Tom Kelly, who played guitar and he sang too. Because when Toto went in for its first album, we had Bobby Kimball. He was our singer, and nobody else in the band ever sang before. And yet the vocal arrangements on the first album were like 5-part harmonies and everything way to fuck up there. So when we went to perform this stuff live, we had to take a guy who had a real high voice who covered a lot of those parts, plus covered a lot of the rhythm things and some of the double lead things. Whereas this time, we'll be able to perform just the cats,
So it's the same group then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are there other people that you brought in to play?
No. The only people we may bring in will be some horn players or string players, but nobody else would come into play.
Do you write?
No, I don't.
Not at all?
No. Some people say I do, but I don't.
You've never been interested in it, or just...
No, I'll be able to take hum something to somebody and structure I know songs real good. I'm really interested in structures of tunes and how they feel and what they do to you and stuff. But as far as writing anything down, no. Their interest.
So the band is off the road now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been off since April? End of April.
Well, a little bit longer than that, but yeah.
I was on the road on my birthday, so yeah, about the middle of April we stopped. We've been home rehearsing and then cutting this album, and we'll remain home all for the rest of the year, finishing the album, getting prepared for the next tour, building new stage and all that, doing films.
Doing films for the stage?
Yeah, films for the stage and films for just TV ads and whatnot.
Europe.
The stage is going to have Europe. But the new tour that we want to do 2.5, 3-hour show the next time we go on our second time on the road. We want to have a long show, 2 albums with the material plus extra stuff that isn't released yet or anything. But a real good show, nice stage and all that.
Who's producing the record?
We are again.
The band produces?
Yeah.
You ever had a desire to bring anybody else to do it?
It came in our minds a couple times to bring somebody in just to get. All right, Ernie. See you later. Just to get to cut the stuff and do what we want to do, and then let somebody else mix it, and have the second. But really, nobody can do that. We really know what we're doing and know what we want. There's nobody that could do anything for us, except for maybe an engineer getting, experimenting with sounds, which is what we take liberties in doing anyway. So.
Where are you mixing?
We don't probably mixing at Sunset Sound too in the same studio.
Is the whole band there during the mixing process?
It depends. The whole band doesn't have to be there. Everybody usually will be there the first pass, first time through, just to state what they would like to hear, their ideas, And then usually we'll leave it, let David Page and Tom Knox may spend a week or two doing a final mix, and we'll all come in and listen to it again. We'll have a lot more time to do that. Last album we only had one night of tune to mix, first time mix, and that was it. It's take it as you hear it,
You eventually though remixed it, didn't you? And
we remixed I'll Supply the Love and Georgie Porgy's, those 2 singles we were able to remix. Hold the Line we remastered, so it would sound hotter. But
so then your session work is minimal now then? Or non-existent?
Tell the truth.
Right. No, I've been doing lots of dates since I've been home.
Really?
My days are free and I'm bored at home, So if I'm free, I'll do dates. I just got back from New York with Steely Dan, doing a new album with them.
Really?
Which was fun. I was there in January and then again in March, I think, for a little bit, and then just came back.
Did you play on the whole record?
All but like 3 tunes so far. Knowing them, you may get an album and I won't be on it. You know?
Who were some of the other guys that were playing? Do you know? I mean,
Yeah, there's one tune they used Murata on drums, one tune they used Purdy, one tune they used Gad, and the rest they used me, and Rainey on bass, and
who's playing guitars?
Steve Kahn on the rhythm dates. I don't know who did the overdubs yet. I know one tune, the guy in Dire Straits, guitar player.
Really, Mark Knopfler?
Yeah, he
Heard about that.
he did something on one tune.
Huh.
He was real well. Anyways,
Go on, say it.
no, it's just they had an interesting story about him. It's like unbelievable player and doesn't read music, and he has his own symbols
That means
that for chords. And so knowing how, I mean, which is a joke amongst musicians when you know, knowing who he was playing for, the Dan, unbelievable complicated chord changes, and I mean like 13 changes per bar, and, you know, and so it was one of these drawing board things, you know. They had to find out what his symbols meant. And Phil Ramone. Well, who's that?
the white shirt or the brown?
No, the brown one. Very familiar person.
So the record sounds good?
Our new record? Oh,
Yeah.
Stevie, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. It's going to be the best one yet.
Is it? They gonna go out and play?
Probably not.
What else have you been doing?
Finished album with Tom Scott. Who else? Go on.
Today.
Streisand. Today I did Livingston Taylor.
Have you ever had a desire to put a record of your own? I know you said you didn't write, but I suppose
Mm-mm.
no desire.
If I was a genius drummer who had sort of Steve Gaddish, Billy Cobhamish, Tony, Terry Bozzio, those kind of guys. No, really, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, where a drummer's solo album would make sense, you know. But I just like keeping time. So no,
What about things like equipment, your set, things like that you use?
I can't talk about that right now.
Can't talk about that right now.
No, because I endorsed a certain company, but I don't want to know anymore. So I'm in getting out of their endorsement and getting into another drum company.
I see. So is that the stuff that you're using on the record?
What I did was I had I did this endorsement with. See, I use Ludwig drums all the time in the studio, old wood sets. But I have about 11 drum sets, and they're all different drum companies and whatnot. You know, different sizes. I can usually get a pretty good sound out of a set of drums. I'm going, what the hell's wrong with this? And I said, well, probably the size. You know, the shells. It's just not right. And then I noticed all the lugs were crooked. The lugs where a screw goes in from the hoop.
Oh no.
The bottom ones were all crooked about like that. I swear to God. I mean, ridiculous. So I called up Chicago, send me 2 more. Same thing. Didn't bother hassling with them. Plus, things were breaking. Weird metal and hardware stuff was just not right. I mean, ridiculous things were cracking and breaking on the drum set. Ludwig. So I had about had it. And when I got home, for this album, I rented a set of Gretsch drums from this guy who owns this instrument rental company out here, Leeds. And I used them on the album. Then I traded him an older set of Ludwig drums I had, and these Sin drums, these electronic drums. I hate them, and I got them about 2.5 years ago.
Real early.
First guy, I had the prototypes originally, and I used them on like 3 albums, and then didn't want to know about them anymore. And so I gave him those and trade them for the set. So now I'm in negotiation with Gretsch to.
So you like Gretsch?
Oh yeah. I always have, you know.
Can you give me a rundown of that set that you used?
22-inch bass drum, 8x12 tom-tom, 9x13 tom-tom, 16x16, 18x16 floor tom. The floor tom is a Ludwig wood floor tom. The snare drums I use, this kid here, Paul Jameson, and he takes He went out and he must have found about 230, 240, 1930 to 1933 Radio King drum cells, which were Slingerland, old Slingerland, real thick shell. And what he does is he takes, if the lugs during that time were nickel, if they're in good shape, he leaves them on, but he packs them all with cotton. He does this to all my drums, packs all the lugs and metal casings with cotton, so there's no ring out of the lug itself. Replaces all the screws in the shell with Allen screws with an Allen wrench, and they're sunken in so everything's solid, tight, will never move. Veneers these shells inside. But he makes these snare drums that are just wood, and some are 6, some are 8, some are 5 3/4, and either put new Gretsch hoops or some of the old deep hoops, original Slingerland Radio King, or new Gretsch lugs. We keep the old ones, and they're all either sunburst. All the finishes are different. They go for like $500 a piece. I have about 4 of those. Plus, he does a lot of my drums for one snare drum. But they're incredible. Everybody in town, all the studio cats, at least have 1 or 2. Really? Because they're the best recording drums in the world, man. And live, they're the best. They're the best snare drum in the world.
He sells them outright to the buyer.
Anybody wants to buy one? Still finding old shells. Doesn't know a thing about drums. He used to be a roadie and got into setting up Jerry Brown.
Yeah.
Setting up his drums. Just got into it, you know. He's made a mint, man.
Has it? I'm about to shy. You have to sell too many.
Well, every drummer has 2 or 3, Fleetwood, Russell. Everybody has it, man.
What about hi-hats and cymbals?
Use all A. Right now I have all A Zildjian. If I can find some good Ks, I'd use them. I have some Peisty hi-hat cymbals, and that's it.
What about that?
A pedal, I have like 20 of these now. Because I love them so much. And I started them 3 years ago, using them 3 years ago. This guy Frank Eppolito in New York used to, he'd take a Camco pedal or a Gretsch pedal, put a bicycle sprocket, a gear, a bar here. Instead of a leather strap, you have a bicycle chain, which starts from the sprocket down here, comes around, and attaches to the footboard. So when you press the pedal down, the gear, the pull starts from the gear under here, and just the whole thing pulls real nice, and so you're always right there. And so he made those. They used to go like $80 a shot, and there was only a few of them because he made them himself. And then he died. He just died recently, a few months ago, and the company that bought out Camco or Camco's hardware,
DW, yeah.
DW or something like that.
Right.
Now they're doing them too. Gonna use an orange.
Yeah.
An orange hi-hat.
You like those?
I like it live. I'm starting to get used to it now. I'm using it on the sessions now. It used to be too heavy for me.
What kind of heads do you use?
Remo Ambassador, and on the bass drum I use a Evans hydraulic.
And that's pretty much the set you use in the studio?
Same thing on the road.
Yeah, same thing. You pleased with the drum sound that you're getting on the second record? Yeah, real good.
Yeah.
Would you agree that drum's the hardest thing to get a good sound out of when you record?
No.
You don't think so?
Usually you hear it is, but it really shouldn't be. Most of the time it's if you're a drummer, it really doesn't matter how you have your drums tuned, if the way you play, if they sound good to you and they sound good the way you're playing, unless obviously you're doing sessions, you have to go for what somebody wants to hear. But really, engineers, I know this for a fact, most of the time engineers, they have a basic way they want to do something, or they're used to the studio they work at, and they want you to adjust your drums or your trip to their studio and the room they're used to, which is garbage. They should know. They should be able to listen to a set of drums and say, oh, all I need is 2 overhead mics, a bass drum mic, and a snare drum mic, and do it. Or what they have to do to get the sound that the drummer is hearing in the way he's playing in the studio.
How do you mic your drums in the studio?
Everything's mic'd.
Everything?
Yeah. We had KM88s on all the tom-toms, KM88 on the snare drum, Sennheiser 421 on the bass drum, AKG or something on the hi-hat. The overheads were AKGs. I'm trying to remember the model.
And you played live on most attractions. Was most of the band was playing on most of the
Yeah, everybody was playing on the tracks when we cut them, and we don't use like put baffles around the bass and guitar, but the piano's right near the drums, and there's no baffles around. Everything's wide open. You know, room mics, record the room sound. You don't need too much echo when you got room recorded.
What about miking the drums live?
Mic drums live, same sort of thing, except we use mainly a lot of Sennheiser, 421s and whatnot on all the toms. Snare drum, usually use a condenser, and we mic the bottom too. And usually each cymbal has a condenser by it. Usually when you have the overhead spread out too far away in a live situation, you need a lot more control over each drum. Yeah.
Do you do any of your own mixing at all? Like live, do you have any of your own mixing things?
No, because the guy we have is just same taste, same ears. Cool.
Was that them that called before?
No, it was the office calling that say they'd finally found David Page, but he wasn't going to be able to get from where he was to here in time.
Do you practice at all?
Never. I don't have anything that resembles anything to do with drums anywhere I live. I haven't practiced since I was 13. I'm not a drum enthusiast at all.
You told me that before, and you also said that you look at people like Gad and all these people like as a league above yourself. I mean, that's the impression that I got.
They are. It's a whole nother story. Those guys are. I mean, I used to be down. I wasn't down on myself, but I've done lots of sessions and whatever. But I used to say, well, like I used to feel real lucky and like really I shouldn't be doing this when there's guys like Gads. But I am real good at as far as the job I do, as far as like I like interpreting an artist or